Welcome back to Bills Bets and Beers. I'm your host, Chad. This is going to be a channel where I mostly talk about Bills football, the NFL in general, walk through some parlays that I put in for the NFL games, and do the occasional tasting rating of a tasty brew. I try to pick local IPAs from the area for that. But yeah, let's get into this video. It's going to be obviously about the Super Wild Card weekend, doing a quick reaction, prediction, and game picks. I got a little parlay in for this. First, I'd like to start off with some injuries to watch. It always gives you some little insight of what's going to be coming up. Lamar Jackson doesn't look like he's going to be playing this weekend, but if he does, it should be very interesting. He hasn't played for a while, and with how they're doing his contract situation, I'm not sure if he's going to play, but who knows? That's going to be all up in the air. But if he does play, this game is going to be a little bit closer, and that spread might not happen. But at the moment, I think the spread's 8.5, so that's going to be very interesting to watch for, at least betting wise. Then you have the Chargers. Um, Wide receiver Mike Williams, he got hurt in the last game, which is odd that they even let him play that long, to be honest. So just weird that they did that personally. So he got injured again, so he's going to be most likely out for this game, and that's not going to bode well for the Chargers. They're going up against a pretty good Jacksonville team who's been on a hot streak as of late. So definitely something to look out for. And I think there might be a little trouble without one of their top receivers. Then for the Jags, not really super crazy, but you have the kicker, Riley Patterson. I always say like a couple big pieces that you don't want to lose. There's a kicker because a lot of times the kicker, if he's just a punter, he also holds the snaps. Like he's the one that holds the ball for the people kicking the field goals, and that's not super easy to get someone comfortable with that. That's a lot of practice and reps, and they're working with the long snapper and all that stuff. So if they have enough time, like a week, then they could get some sort of relationship there with them, and so they have a good friendly relationship, knowing how he likes to snap, how high it's going to be snapped up, how many rotations, how much rotation you got to twist it to get it in. So it's just a lot of things. And then who's going to be punting the ball? Just because you can kick field goals doesn't mean you can actually punt. So just thoughts right there. And then the next position coming up right now is for the Cowboys, the center, Tyler Bindaz. Um, Again, centers. They are the one who snaps to the quarterback. They're the ones who have to be comfortable with the snap and then guard and block. So a lot of things go into play being a center. And also, they're usually the ones that the guards around them generally try to like rely on him because he's usually the one calling out stuff, being like, "Hey, watch out for that protection. This guy might be coming." Then they are pointing things out before they go down and snap. So definitely something to look out for them. I think that might have hindered them in the last game, but not enough for them to lose like that. So having him back would be a big up for them. Coming in and facing Tampa at home, it's going to be a very interesting game because both teams have been very wonky. So having a starting center would help them a lot. Then Tua, Dolphins. I mean, obviously he's not in right now, so I could switch that out with Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, he had a limited practice yesterday. I don't know what he did today, but I think they're going to try to stick with Skyler. But if I was them, if Teddy was ready to go and good to play, I'd be putting him out on that field because he has a veteran presence and he knows a little bit about higher stake games than Skyler does, to be honest. Then for the Bucks on the other side, left tackle Donovan Smith. Did not participate on Wednesday, and I believe he was out last game. So that's something to watch for because he's going to be the guy helping Tom Brady not get sacked, giving him a little bit more time in the pocket. I know he doesn't need a lot. I think his average release time is like 2 seconds or less, or 2.5 seconds or less. So he's quick to release the ball. A lot of quick passes, but they do have some deep passes in their arsenal. So they're going to need some protection back there for him. Huge. Having a healthy O-line is huge when it comes to the postseason. Then you have offensive lineman Aziz Julari. for the Giants. He outside linebacker, so he's a big piece of that defense. He does it's not as much as a middle linebacker, but he still works with the middle linebacker, trying to make the calls and do all these things, makes the reads, tells people kind of where to go. So he's a big piece of that, and then also just with pass rush as well, and just coverage and everything. So if he's out, that's not gonna. I mean, you have tons of weapons like on this Vikings team. If they all come to play and they all play strong, it's gonna be a hard force to stop. Obviously, you're gonna have to have Kirk doing well. Then the running game has to be good because usually when the running game isn't good, their passing game shows up. But sometimes they both don't show up. But if Cook comes off the stride he had in the last game, granted I think it was just against the Bears, so it wasn't as massive of a game to be honest. But Cook had a good game, getting a touchdown or so. So it'd be nice to see him, yeah, keep going and improving those stats. Get to the, I mean, 'cause everyone knows he's a dynamic player. He's a huge bully in the running field, so it would help to have someone off the defense of the Giants, at least in that role. Then you have for the Vikings, the center Garrett Bradbury. He's been on injury report for 5 weeks or so now at least. So, and I don't think he played last week either. So he didn't participate on Wednesday. So it's like you're looking at a lot of things not looking good. Hopefully he can get a limited practice or something on Friday so he could play. But if he's not going to, then that's gonna be something where they're gonna be down a man, and that's gonna be down a man that's gonna help protect Kirk. And he's been comfortable with snapping the ball. Obviously, they've been having someone else do that for him as of late, so there are some practice in there for that. So there are some relationship there between Kirk and center, but it's not as good as having the starting good. So it'd be huge to have him back this game. But yeah, I like to do something quick. I've never done like something like this before, so sorry if it doesn't look that well. But I want to look at the NFL picture. I got a nice little PDF to look at, so let's see if it works. That's um, just going over the NFL playoff schedule. So first glance, you'd be shocked to see the Jags, and I still am. No one, I mean, Titans weren't the greatest, but they had a huge downfall to lose that division. That was theirs to win. The only one that was close-ish was Indy at some point, but they were just awful. So and then the Jags weren't really doing much. They were at, I believe, 2 wins, and then that they've had a huge win streak coming up, 6 or 7 wins. So that's massive for them. So you just got to think that's a shocker. No one, I don't think anyone would have predicted that. Chargers getting in, I knew they would get in. I figured they'd be around that seed, to say the least. You wouldn't think they're going to be anything less than like sixth, but they got that fifth seed, so that's good. They got that thing up and locked. So that's gonna be an interesting game right there. You got Chargers, Jags. I think this is gonna go to the Jags just because without Mike Williams on the Chargers, and that defense hasn't been as great either because they've had a lot of injuries this year. So unless people have been getting healthy, but I still think they're out. They're starting corner that they got from the Patriots in the offseason. So a lot of things that could go wrong there. But this is really the first time Trevor Lawrence is getting into a postseason game for the NFL. A little bit different than college. I think he's used to the pressure and he's probably built for it, but still something to worry about there. Then Baltimore Bengals. I think everyone kind of saw this coming. Obviously, Baltimore got screwed a lot more than the Bills did in that game getting canceled, which everyone, I think myself and everyone would agree that it should have got canceled, and just kind of put as like a non-slot because it was so early in the first quarter. No one knows what would have happened in that game. Definitely would have been a slugfest, and nobody came down to the wire. So it's fair to say just make it a no competition. Nothing happened. Just put it on like a blank slate. So I think I can see the Bengals are going to win this. Just the spread is 8.5, and it's going to be very interesting there. Dolphins, I thought with how they're going down the stretch, with Skylar Thompson starting, I thought the Jets were going to win. And with at least we could have been facing the Steelers. Imagine the Steelers getting into this postseason with the start that they had and the team that they had. That would have been very impressive, and um, that would have gave their coach easily the coach of the year. But that aside, I think the Dolphins, they're not getting past this game. The spread's a little high for me, -13. But now with knowing that Tua is not going to be in, it's not that high. I believe the Bills can beat them by that much. It all depends how the team comes to play. I think they're going to come and play with their all. And I don't think they're going to say, hey, I don't care if it's Skylar back there. I'm going to act like it's damn Patrick Mahomes. We're going to play as hard as we can. Because they got that mentality. They have a good coach. They have a good locker room. They have everything going for them. So can't think they're going to fail that. On the NFC side, this is very interesting. Cowboys and Tampa. I think week 14 I did my last preview for it, and I had Tampa out of this. I actually had I didn't have the Panthers. I had the Falcons coming in and taking that spot because they were going to face them that last game. I figured that Falcons would have won it, but the Falcons took a big dive towards the end of the year. They really burn their chances of getting in there. And then on top of that, the Panthers lost one game too many. That is very frustrating for them. But Panthers have something to look forward to next year. They had a team going at one point, so I mean it's better than what they would have expected towards the end, especially after trading McCaffrey and all that stuff. Still having a chance to get to the postseason, so huge matchup there. Then Giants and the Vikings. Everyone knew the Vikings were getting in. They're going to grab their division. I didn't see them getting third, though. That's the only real surprising factor there. So, to be honest, the spread here is super thin, too. It's -3. Vikings are giving points away because it is in their stadium, and that's basically a pick 'em at that point. When your home field advantage usually get -3. So it's going to be a very interesting game. It depends what teams show up. And if the Vikings will actually come to play, they can win this game. Because the Giants' defense is good, but they lack some secondary, which did improve over the year. But if you have Justin Jefferson, Thielen, and I forgot his name, the tight end they got that's really good. So Hawkinson. They picked him up middle of the year from Detroit. He's really good. So they got a lot of good weapons on that team, and you're not counting Cooks, Madison. So they got good weapons. So if they can actually go off to a nice start, Kirk doesn't make any dumb mistakes. Because they always joke, he set Sunday at 1:00 is his best time. After that, it's like postseason, any game that's in like any primetime slot, he doesn't usually play that great. But I think he's going to play well. And I see them beating the Giants. It's good the Giants made it. I thought they were going to make it in, but they definitely, without that win last week, the week before on week 17, without that win, they would have struggled to get in. But because the Eagles weren't going to lose that top seed. So that win in week 17 saved them, and they're in this. Then you have Seattle and the San Francisco. I think most people had San Francisco not written off in the beginning, but middle of the year, they came back very strong. Purdy came in huge for him at the end and had a big winning streak now. So Seattle versus San Fran, they're divisional again. There's a lot of divisional matchups in this. So San Fran's going to win. It still depends how much they're going to win by. The spread's +9.5. They're very familiar with each other. They're not going to have any like restrictions to Geno or anyone else on that side. So if they're going to risk, it's going to be a lot of risk reward for the Seahawks, and they're going to have to do that to beat a juggernaut like San Fran at the moment. So definitely something to look for. I'll get into the bet next in the next section, but I do have the Seahawks currently covering that. But let's get into that actually right now. So, Super Wild Card 6-leg game picks. Um, I went pretty simple. It's a quick 6-leg pick. I actually didn't pick any over-unders because a lot of them were around like 42-ish, which I think some of these games are going to get a little bit over and I'll have a lot of potential, but they do have potential to go under too, so I didn't like that risk factor. And I didn't want to go money line on some of the teams, like obviously picking the Bengals to go money line. It was like minus 800 or minus 500, so it's not going to give you any money. You're pretty much going to give money to get less back at the end. Maybe add $10 on a $1 bet. So let's get into it. I got the Vikings -3 over the Giants. That was -110. Whenever you're doing game picks, it's always -110 for either either team. So either team to either cover the spread or to win by that spread points. So Vikings -3 over the Giants. I think that can happen. I think this team's going to come together and at least make it past this first round. But next round is where it's going to get tricky for them because I believe, bring it back up actually, if they win, they would be the 3rd seed and they would most likely, they'd most likely go up against San Fran. So that's going to be a game that they're not going to be benefiting well from, in a sense, because San Fran's a good team and they have a good defense. And unfortunately, Vikings don't. So be very big. Then I got Bengals 8.5, -8.5 over the Ravens. Obviously, I did this with my thought process that there's going to be no Lamar there. It's pretty doubtful he is. And unfortunately, with Huntley in there, it just puts their offense so low that I see them winning by that 8.5. I might get screwed by taking that, but I was not. I didn't have faith in the Ravens to put it plus 8.5, if that makes sense. So that's just quick -10 right there as well. Things add up, so you see at the end of the total. Then I have the Cowboys -2.5 over the Bucks. I think Cowboys are gonna take that loss last week, and they're gonna come into this game with some steam on their heads. They're gonna come with some weight in their shoulders and a lot of stuff coming into it. So I think they're gonna put literally they're all into this game and win or go home scenario because it is. So there really is no don't make a mistake. Don't do that. It might be make a mistake. They're gonna be doing everything they can to win this game. And that Tampa defense has not been the greatest. And Cowboys have a good offense. And they have a decent defense at times. So you got to think that they're going to be able to benefit from facing a defense like this. And then on top of it, with the injuries that Tampa has and had throughout the year, yeah, they're getting a little bit healthier, but not fully healthy. So you can't really trust that. But if the Cowboys make it past this, they're going to be going up against the Eagles again. And Eagles have 2 weeks to rest. A week of rest. And it's personally, you can't see the Eagles losing at this point or put money down on that. I would love to see the spread on it to see how much they would win by, because that spread should be no more than 5 points. If it's that much, I think it'd be closer towards I would say 3.5. But if it's anything over 5 to between 5 and 8, I would definitely take Cowboys plus on that one next week. So then I got the Seahawks plus 9.5 versus the 49ers. So our thought process on this is, like I said earlier, they're a divisional matchup. They already faced each other twice. Seattle's lost both times. San Fran's a strong team. But in games like this, that 9.5 points at the end, if the Seahawks have a chance just to get closer and they get that touchdown, and then the 49ers are only up by 5 or 6, even 7.5, even 8 points or 7 points, you got to think it's going down to the last couple minutes. They're not going to be forcing the ball down. They're going to be using McCaffrey, getting those little 4 yards here and there, marching it slow down the field just to burn time to get that win. And just not give them a chance to lose. So I see this game being a little bit less than 9.5. So I would say probably like a 7 or like a 5 point win, just because they're such a close team. That or even 9 points, 7 and 9 points. That's gonna be the range that they win by. It's not gonna be 10. Um, but that's my personal preference. So it's just -10 on that. For the Cowboys, it was actually -120, so a little bit bigger. Then I took Jags money line because money line, surprisingly, the Jags were getting points, even though it's at the Jags Stadium. Not too surprising because the Chargers have been a team people have loved, but they were getting +2, so I took money line to boost it up to +110, only because I think Jags are going to win this. They're not going to win it by much. It's going to be like a field goal, probably towards the end, or holding off the Chargers or something like that at the end. But they're going to win by 3 points. So I'm going to take that easy money line money and go forward. So Jags win this. They're actually going to be going and facing KC, and that doesn't bode well. I would see KC giving them +10 for that matchup, personally. Then I got Bills. Even though I said I wasn't comfortable with the spread, I took the -13 over the Dolphins without, and this was me thinking Tua was not going to be in there when I made these put this bet in. So it just makes sense. I didn't trust the Dolphins without Tua to make it a closer game than -13. Yes, they're divisional rivals, but if you have Skyler going in there, never facing a stadium like this at this peak in the stadium, that thing's gonna be going off. And I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be one of the guys helping give him that that extra player, just being loud and obnoxious so the other teams can't focus on what's going on or what plays are getting given to them. So definitely something to look for. I just think the Bills are going to win, and I know they're going to win. But the money line on them was like +800, so -800, so no one's taking that. So I took the -13 because I was more confident in that than +13 for the Dolphins. Might bite me, might be Homer, but I just couldn't do it. So with that being said, that would throw the Bills versus the Bengals at the Bill Stadium next week. That's going to be massive. I'm going to be getting tickets as well. So, going to be a good game. Can't miss that. I'm going to see if my buddy Evan at Mr. Nasty Time can get tickets for that game and say, hey, buddy, when are you going to see a playoff game with your team in it? You should get a ticket to buy my seats. But anyways, overall odds ended up being plus 5,000. It turns I put $2 down on this to equal $102. I think that's pretty good odds and it's pretty good possibility of me getting that. But yep, let's cut this off, throw this off. Then let's get to my sponsors real quick. I got my wife, Crochet with Elisha. Check out it's her business Instagram page. It's Crochet with Elisha. So Crochet WITHELISHA. Check it out. She has tons of stuff on there. Cardigans, hats, mittens, gloves, beanies, little headbands headbands, anything you could think of, bikini bottoms, tops, beer koozies, all the clothing and stuff she's made. You can do it from infants all the way up to full-grown adults. And same thing with I don't know, she even does tons of different like dolls and stuff and everything. She does everything like that. So whatever you want, and if you don't see it on her page, shoot her a link to the thing you want, and she can find a pattern for it. And that obviously we put into the purchase, but it's definitely good quality stuff and it's gonna last you a long time. Then I got my buddy Evan. He's got his own channel, Mr. Nasty Time. He does a lot of streaming on there now. He's been switched from Twitch a while ago, so he does a lot of was doing Modern Warfare 2. He's doing a lot of Mass Effect collection right now. He also does podcasts. We're gonna be doing one tonight, and then he also does stuff on the NFL, which is the podcast tonight's gonna be about. He does stuff on arm wrestling. He does stuff on UFC, like betting for the UFC, betting for the NFL occasionally. And then for the gaming part, he also does some Warzone 2.0 and things like that. So check him out. Content's always good. He always has people in the chat with him, playing the game with him, and it gets pretty wild. So I wouldn't let your like 5-year-old listen to it, but it's definitely worth the watch because it'll keep you entertained. If the gameplay doesn't get you entertained, then guarantee you the chat will. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me. I got some upcoming videos, and I'm gonna head out. Um, I got a Super Wild Card Weekend same game parlays coming up. I'm gonna be dropping that Friday night. Then I'll be doing the Bills versus Dolphins post game recap. I'll be dropping that most likely either Monday morning or Monday evening, depending when I get back from the game and stuff. I have a couple hours from Buffalo, so it takes some time to get back. Then I got divisional round preview and prediction. So it doesn't matter if the Bills win or not. I'm gonna be doing preview prediction for it. Then obviously, if there's a next game, I'll do Bills versus Bengals preview and prediction as well. So that's gonna be it for me. Go Bills, and I'm out.